What's up, guys? So, yeah, like you see in the video title, I'm switching up my business model once again. It's a variation of what I'm currently already doing, but it's really totally different if you talk about the processes and the fulfillment involved. So, I'll just talk about the first and the second and the third model and then the fourth model so you get like an understanding of what I've been going through and how hectic starting your own online business can be if you don't have access to the right information or, you just have to try stuff. So, I learned pretty early on in my life that many entrepreneurs that I started five businesses before I became successful, and I failed four ones, and I always thought like that my first model was gonna be the one that I ended with, and I was very naive. The first model is never ever going to be the model. Like the first model that I started out with worked between 2014 and 2019, but in 2020 during COVID, Google really cracked down on the Google business listings and the ranking of Google businesses, verifying them, suspending them, and it became increasingly harder. So let me just talk about that. I started out in this course, and I'm not going to mention the name, but they basically teach you to build 20 websites and get Google business profiles for them for local contractors in cities. And then you rank them in Google, you start getting all of these calls for people needing plumbing or roofing or a tree service. And what you then do is you call a business owner, tell them like, hey, I'm getting these leads, and you want to take them on for a commission, and then you forward the calls with call tracking software, and they pay you. That's like the business model, and it used to work at the beginning, but then I figured out after building 20 websites that I really have to look at the Google business profiles, which are like when you search for a restaurant, it are the top three listings with these reviews and all the pictures. That are the Google business profiles, the top three, and they get 70% of the calls. So what I realized is I have to focus on getting profiles, not websites. So that's where my first variation came in. I stopped making entire websites without even having a Google business listing attached. I started building these Google business profiles without having a website attached. And it sounded like a small variation, but it's a completely different model. So I started getting these listings, verified 20 within 1 month. And the way I verified these 20 listings was by paying people on Craigslist $50 to receive a code from me from Google. And it kind of sounds shady, right? And that's because it is, because the Google business profile then is located on their address. Super sketchy, I know. So I verified 20 listings doing this approach in June 2022, this about a year ago, and nearly all of them suspended. So a suspension in Google Business is basically Google blocking your profile because it doesn't think it meets their terms and conditions. And in my case, I probably wasn't because I got so many in a very short time, and Google is becoming increasingly smarter. So, it's a constant fight, and I still persevered. Google is getting smarter, so I have to become smarter. So I started making Google Business profiles that look like real companies. The way that I did that was by spreading the name of that fake company out there on the internet, creating social media profiles, spreading out the name, address, and phone number on all of these websites to make it look like, in the eyes of Google, it was a real company. And that started working. I didn't get as many suspensions anymore. But then the third thing came, which was that Google changed their verification method from postcards to video because they were seeing that so many people were doing fake verifications with postcards by paying people $50. So they said, like, you just gotta do a video. So I started doing videos and it worked at the beginning, but they started tracking your IP and your device so that if you do too many from one device and if you don't have social media and all that stuff, it started becoming increasingly difficult. And at that point, I really just decided that I don't want to keep up with this game anymore because Google is going to get smarter and smarter with AI and all that stuff. And I'm just going to be fucked in my ass a couple of years from now when I have like 20 clients and all of my listings in one day just get blocked for Google's reasons. So I decided to move away from the rank and rent model and I wanted to start renting and ranking, which is that I didn't want to build these fake profiles anymore. I just wanted to work on real companies' profiles with real business owners that already paid me upfront for the work that I performed. So that's what we started doing about 2 months ago, and it was working fine. And we started transitioning our current clients to it. Great. But now the past few weeks, Google has really been cracking down on all of the manipulation tactics that people in SEO use to rank these listings. And one of them is CTR. It's basically a fake way to get a lot of traffic to your listings so that it looks to in the eyes of Google that you get like 1,000 clicks a day or 100 clicks a day, and they believe that you become popular. And if you're popular, then you should be shown to more people. That's also how it works with YouTube. If you get a lot of clicks and likes, then you're going to rank higher. Same with Google Business. And, Google is starting to crack down on that as well, because if they see that the number one profile has 100 visitors per day and you have 500 being on number 10, then that doesn't make sense. So, of course, there is ways to make this look natural by building it up slowly, of course. But my point is, it's not the only thing. The second thing that they started cracking down on is fake reviews. So, many people lost 50% of their reviews last week in the SEO space. And all that together and all of the SEO things that they are cracking down on has resulted in my listings dropping their rankings tremendously. As a result of these Google Business SEO strategies losing their power and reviews getting removed and CTR and all that stuff, I've lost quite a bit of my rankings on a lot of my profiles. And as a result, I have currently lost two clients that I was not getting enough leads for. So in a few short weeks, I went from 7 clients to 5 clients, and I went from making 10.2K a month to making 7.5K a month. And, it doesn't sound that bad, but, I still have costs to make. I have a partner that I have to pay. So net, I'm profiting about $4,500 a month right now instead of making the 6K that I was. So it's just a big difference. So last week, me and my partner decided to once again change our business model for the fourth time. And we changed the business model from Google Business to running ads. And, it sounds familiar to what everyone is doing, right? Oh, you're just going to run ads. Well, let me just tell you, no. Like, we have way more in our package and in our solution to their problems than most people do. And I can talk about that in like another video. If you just go out there and you think you can make money doing ads, I'll tell you, you're just going to have a very high churn rate. What you really want is you want to have their entire marketing in your hands, and you want to basically have them by the balls so that they stay with you for the long term. So we're switching our model to that, but that comes with a wide array of new challenges. I suddenly have to start learning how to run ads for me and also for the contractors, and I have to learn how to get customers. Beforehand, we only had to learn how to get these leads, and once we had a lot of calls coming in, we would just give them for free for 1 or 2 weeks, and the contractor would oftentimes just get convinced by getting money in their fucking pocket. Well, that's not the case anymore. You actually have to do cold DMs or cold calling or cold SMS, Facebook group posting, running ads, all of these different methods to start getting clients. And that's completely new for me. I'm a newbie at getting clients up front. I have never done it before. I have never closed a client up front. And so we just don't know what to do yet. We have tested a couple of things over the past few weeks, but we are completely fucking fresh in this game. I hope that gives you some perspective because basically I'm just starting out with this. And of course, I'm not just starting out, I already know a lot, but I am just doing this for the first time, guys. About 3 years ago, I started learning about the model and I started doing it part time. Then 1.5 years ago, I graduated high school and I could do it full time. After 1.5 years of being consistent and working, I have only come to $4,500 in monthly profit. Okay, yes, it used to be 6K before this month, but this month it's $4,500 a month, and it can be frustrating. However, I am not a very emotional person. I'm very sensitive, but I'm not very sensitive to negative emotion because I'm not just gonna fucking cry and be frustrated and be angry and no, I'm just gonna fucking find a way to make it work. You just gotta know if you're starting out a business and you think that this model is going to be it because some guy sold it to you in a course, or you just think it's gonna work out that way. Let me just give you the fucking truth. It oftentimes doesn't. If you're starting like social media management and you're gonna do social media manage for people, probably after like 1 year you find out that it's not going to make you rich. Yeah, yeah, it can make you some money, and especially if you know like the algorithm and all this stuff. But is it going to be a long-term sustainable business model to build a huge fucking company on? It isn't. You start a business model, you fail, and you try again in a different model, and you fail, and you try again, and then the puzzle pieces come together, and boom, you start making a lot of money. That's basically how it goes. But for some people, it might take 2 years to get there. For some people, it might take 5 years. For some people, it might take 10 years of working fucking hard. So the more you learn, the more you earn, the earlier you get to the right model. So I still have to figure out how do I do direct response, copywriting, how do I attract people and sales and all that stuff. And of course, my partner luckily knows sales, so it's going to be way easier for us to get ahead. But then me and my partner were still wondering what do we need to do on a daily basis in order to get the appointments that we want and to get the sales that we want. So last week, me and my partner, when we decided to change our model, we also talked about guidance. We were like, hey, we can spend the next 6 months trying to learn all of these outreach methods and how to get people on our calendar. Or we can just pay someone who has already done it before, who has already scaled to $50,000 a month to teach us what to do. So last week, we invested in a coaching program of 16 weeks for $8,600. And for the next 16 weeks, they are going to give us a roadmap of exactly what to do on a daily basis in order to get the results that we want, suited to our current situation of the business that we are currently in. So you're just going to see that in the next 4 months, I might go from making $4,500 a month in profit to making $15,000 a month in profit. My goal for the end of this year personally is $15,000 a month in profit. And I might actually make it because I'm using the guidance of someone who has already done it before. And people in the group have been going consistently from 10K to 50K in a short period of time, like 6 months. So I believe that we can do this as well. And I don't believe that we could do that as well if we had to learn everything from scratch, because that just takes time. If you want to become a dentist, I often use that example, I know, but you have to spend 6 years learning from others, learning from experts how to be a dentist. And if you had to figure out yourself how to become a dentist, just like read books and just try shit yourself, like it wouldn't fucking work out because you need someone to teach you who's already done it. So the best way to grow then is to get a coach who has already done what you're trying to do and who is going to give you advice suited to your situation. That's the most valuable thing because we can have all of the information available, but information is free and implementation is fee. That's one great sentence that he mentioned that would just basically sold me. So if you want to learn how to make money, Alex Ramosi also talks about investing in your education. And it just makes sense. If you try to do everything for free and you just try to just stick everything together, you can. Even with courses, you can. But you're going to be a lot faster by having a coach. So me and my partner believe that we are going to make a lot more progress the next 6 months having this coaching program. It's not a belief, it's just knowing. Because you just know that if you just listen to what someone else has already done and you have a weekly call and they give a strategy for you based on where you are in your business, then you're going to get there more easily than if you try to find out and reinvent the wheel yourself. So my advice for you would be, if you're watching this, you might be young, you might be a little older, you might have money, you might not have any money. Invest in your education. It has taken me like 6 or 7 courses and coaching programs to get here, and also just understand that life is rough. Friend of mine became a little disappointed because for the past 6 months he has been working, but he hasn't gotten his second client yet. He only has one client, he told me. And I was like, what the fuck? Why are you like emotional about that? 6 months and you got your first fucking client. Great job, because for dentists, at least here in the Netherlands, it takes 6 years before you can start making your first fucking dollar. And you're upset that after 6 months of working, you have your first client, even though you're like basically a piece of shit because you don't know anything yet and your service that you're providing is not actually that good. Like you cannot be good in 6 months. You cannot be a great dentist in 6 months of education. Like it's just crazy how people think sometimes. We want to have the quick results, like because we see on Instagram and social media that people with a flashy car and this and that, and we think that it happens overnight, but it doesn't. It doesn't happen overnight. It's the character development, building on your habits and your health, because your business is also your health and your energy. Because if you don't sleep and eat and exercise well, then that's also going to affect your business and your productivity. So if you're a newbie and you're just starting out and you're in your first year, like you're a freshman and you expect yourself to be making money, like how arrogant or ignorant are you then? Like I would already be happy to make money in my first year. And of course, you can make money in your first year. Of course, if you have the right guidance and if you have the right people around you and you have the right model and you have the right work ethic and all of that stuff, but for this friend of mine to expect, and of course, like I get it, it's just the negative emotions and not having any accomplishments, and it can be a struggle. It's a mental and emotional battle. But to after 6 months expect to have more than one client, how can he expect himself to be making the same amount of money in one year? It is just ignorant, and it might even be a little arrogant. The reason they think that way is because they become emotional because they take more risk on themselves and they don't know what's gonna happen. They don't have the direction. So after 6 months of not getting results, the fire in themselves, it just kind of disappears. But I just fucking told him like, dude, you have one client after 6 months. Like, what more did you expect? You could be further ahead, of course, but for him to expect himself to be further than that, like, that's just funny. I just wanted to point it out. Of course, you can do it a lot quicker if you have the right information, if you have the right network around you, if you have the right model, and you have a good work ethic, and your health is great. All that stuff that comes into play when you're trying to make money. So be patient with results and be impatient with action. I learned it from Naval Ravikant, and he became impatient with results, but very patient with action taken because he wasn't motivated anymore because he wasn't getting results anymore. Because, motivation is often stimulated by accomplishments, challenge, and some wins. And the hard part about starting a business is that you can have no results for a long period of time, like 6 months in my friend's case. However, it's still foolish to think that you can start making money in 6 months because if you have to become a dentist, I know I always use this example. If you want to become a dentist here in the Netherlands, you need to study for 6 years before you can make your first penny, and you're also in student debt. So by the time that you want to, make your money being a dentist, you already have 100,000. You already have $100,000 in student debt that you also could have invested in learning how to make money with your own business. So this guy, like this friend of mine, like I love him of course, but after 6 months, he said like I only have one client and I just don't feel it, and I wish I was just gonna be further ahead of now. And I just told him like, dude, I gave him this example, and he was like, okay, yeah, you're right, but he let his emotions catch him. And the reason being is that yes, it can be emotional if you start doubting yourself and you get these negative thoughts. And of course, I understand that, but that's also why the people who make the most money in the world are the least emotional and the most stress tolerant. So if you're very emotional in your decision making and you need to feel good in order to work, like it's not gonna work, man. Like a man is supposed to do the things that he doesn't want to do. You shouldn't be emotional. You just have to be stress tolerant. You can be emotional with your friends, and you can be emotional with your family. You can be emotional with all of the social and lovely activities that you do with other people. But don't be emotional in business because it's not going to help you. And then he started having expectations, which is also a big issue. He started having an expectation to be making, I don't know how much money he was expected to make at 6 months of being in business, but I think it's already great that he's making like $1,000 a month right now. Like, big fucking thumbs up, because probably the next 6 months he's going to be going to $5,000 a month. That's just how it goes. You go slowly up and you go down. That's just how it goes. So the lesson here is don't be a fucking emotional bitch about it. And people are often driven by external accomplishments. That's why things that have delayed gratification are so hard for people, because we are still animals and we need that instant gratification. People cannot wait that whole 1 year for their dream body or for the money that they wish to make. So that's why most people don't get there, because they don't put in the consistent work, because they lose their emotional motivation to put in the work. And that's a struggle that people have. And that's where having vision and understanding certain principles that are required to make money or become strong are so important. That's the end of my rant. I am also going to do a video on how I set up my company in the United States. I am a foreigner living in the Netherlands, so it's quite different from for me than it is for a US citizen. But I have a lot of benefits because the United States is actually the biggest tax haven on earth. One of the best ways to make more money is by saving on expenses. And one of the best ways to save on expenses is by saving on taxes. And one of the best ways to save on taxes is to move to another country. If you're like a United States citizen, I don't know the solution for you because I'm not. I've never done any research for it. But if you're like a European, if you're like me, then moving to Dubai or Panama might help you. It also depends on where you're doing business. So in my case here in the Netherlands, you pay 49.5% tax on anything you earn above 5K. So if you're a good entrepreneur, then it's going to be smart very soon to move to another country. And of course, some people are going to say like, "Hey, well, just buy a car and, just buy your laptop from it." But really, if you're trying to create wealth, then you're not trying to have more unnecessary expenses just to save on taxes. It's just fucking weird. I want to make money and I want to invest it so I can have a compounding interest effect on the long term. So I have millions by the time I'm 30 and 40 and 50. So what I'm going to do is once I make $10,000 a month in profit, I'm going to move to Dubai. You only have to stay there for 3 months a year. And then I'm going to have that United States company that I currently set up a month ago. I will have that with my Dubai company, send the money from the United States to Dubai. That's completely legal. You just got to figure out how to do it. And then I'll be paying 0% taxes on money earned in the United States. So the United States is actually one of the biggest tax havens in the world. You just gotta know how to fucking use it. And this is a life-changing difference if you think about it. Because if I make $20,000 a month in profit, then the difference between living in the Netherlands and living in Dubai for 3 months a year is humongous. Like I'll be having a net income of $12,000 in the Netherlands, making 20K because I pay like 45% taxes, and it will be $20,000 per month in Dubai because I'll save on the $8,000. Now you can calculate if you go into any S&P 500 over the 30 years calculator, if you invest $8,000 per month for the next 30 years, you will have millions and millions and millions. So you wanna like think about these things. You don't just want to make more money. You also want to save more money. And of course, you might be very comfortable in the country you live in. I get it. Some people care more about money than they care about friends or family. I care a lot about both, but I do believe that, I can just spend 6 months per year in the Netherlands and see my friends and family, and at the same time save on 45% of my taxes. So you see, by coming up with structures and finding ways to save money and also make more money, you're going to end up way better than most people. So you just want to start thinking about it that way. Like, what is your goal? So many people just want to make 5K a month and be good, right? If you're not a real entrepreneur, you just want to not have a job and a boss to work for, that's great. Then just make your 5 or 10 or $15,000 a month and be happy. Just know that as an entrepreneur, you don't have any certainty. So what you do right now and what works right now might not work in 5 years from now, and you might be back in a job. That's why I'm always very paranoid to just, relax because I'm already making enough money. Because you can lose fucking 25% of your clients within 1 week, like I just told you in this video. And there's always going to be certain situations happening in your life that can put your financials at risk. I'll talk more about that in another video. So peace out.